Hi, this is Tam Wendell with Bushcraft on Fire. I have a little visitor who came to join me while I'm doing this video. Today what I wanted to talk to you about was harvesting seed for flower. And in another video I'd spoken to you about China jute and shared how the seeds could be used for flower. Now in my studies, as I study out wild edibles, I find it amazing all the different information I can find about seeds being used for flower, but at the same time a total lack of information how to process these seeds, make flour, or even know what this flour tastes like or how it works out in bread. So I thought we could possibly do a video together, as it were, where I harvest over here and you can harvest at your home, and we could try even compare notes and see what we come out with. So without further ado, let's go harvest some seeds together. Now this plant over here is called China jute, or velvet leaf, or Albuteron theophrasti, for those who like the fancy names. Anyway, this plant is what many call a weed, and we spoke about it that you could use the plant for cordage, but we also mentioned the seeds could be used for flour. So this is a plant that I'm after right now to harvest for seed. And if you come down with me, you'll see there's a little darker pod. Now down below you'll see another one. That one there, the top has opened, so most of the seed has already fallen out. Now I've already experimented with gathering greener seed pods and just leaving them in a bowl in the house, and they turn dark, and that way I can also keep the seed without losing it. So we're going to gather up a bowl of these. Got another plant down here in our yard that's pretty tall, and it's filled with the seed pods. As you can see, some are dark and some are light. I'll show you the difference with what the seed looks like. Okay, here's a dark pod and a light one. When I open the light one, you can see here the seeds are still very white, whereas inside of this one, those are the black seeds that we're trying to gather. So obviously we're going to have to gather a lot of these to make any amount of flour. The next plant that I'm looking at is called the Thorny Pigweed. It had the dark purple stems. The leaves are edible and actually very tasty, but it does have, it's called Thorny Pigweed, and those little thorns, if you can see right here, those are super sharp, so be careful. Now this plant here, I'm told that these seeds make excellent bread as well, and that this plant produces so much seed that farmers actually detest it as a weed because it takes over their crops. So let's take a look at this plant seeds as well. When I take this plant and I just move it a little bit, and you see the seeds actually, looks like a whole bunch of seeds are falling down. So we're going to pick us a bowl of Thorny Pigweed and test this one out as well. Now what you see on the ground is my drying rack, and all it is a few sticks lashed together to make a frame with a sort of a plastic mesh that I use to dry all different kind of leaves on. And this part here I lay on top of, not on top of my bowl, the bowl just happens to be in there, but when I lay that, it traps my leaves between two layers. Now I'm holding this in the air. This is my backyard dehydrator, and I've pinned place some pigweed between the two layers to dry out. Now you can just take your entire netting and place it on any kind of frame up in the air so that the air can move underneath as well as on top. And we have other reasons for keeping it up, because when I'm drying, our chickens love to try to come and scratch. So we keep this whole net up in the air on top of another roll of wire in the sunshine. Now before you run out and go find these thorny pigweed plants, I want to show you something. Picked quite a bit quite a bit in a bowl, and we were busy spreading these, but I noticed that as I filled the bowl, seeds began to fall to the bottom. I want to show you what I found. Okay, here's my bowl from above the bowl, and it looks like I'm actually gathering some good seed to make flour with. But when I began to look a little closer, I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but there amongst all that light, I found tiny, weeny, little black specks. There, right in the center of my screen, you'll see that is the seed that's resting inside of all these light brown, beige colored seed pods. And I thought to myself, it would take me an entire summer to gather enough of that bitty seed to grind into flour. So I'm making my own decision that Thorny Pigweed seed is not my seed of choice to make flour out of. Now here in my yard, I have a patch of plantain. I asked the family not to cut this entire section of the lawn because it was filled with plantain. And the plantain has now developed into these spears, and on each stalk you can see there's seed pods forming. So what I'm doing is I'm allowing all these seed pods to dry up naturally, and when they get close to dry, I'm going to come out here and I'll pick each one of these, snap each one of these stems off, remove the seed, and try to process that seed into flour. So that of course is going to take me some time. So if you at home have plantain and velvet leaf or China jute, go ahead, gather up some seed and let's do some testing together. This is Tam Wendell with Bushcraft on Fire, hoping you'll join me for the next episode of trying to make flour and then baking with it. Stay tuned. Have yourself a great day.